there is a moment, just a moment, when you realize that the person you spent 22 years building a life with was never actually there. And in that moment, you feel two things at the exact same time: grief and relief. And the most terrifying part, you can't always control which one reaches your face first. This is the story of how I built the most elaborate lie of my life to survive the most elaborate lie of his. Before we go any deeper, let us know in the comments where you are watching from. We would love to hear from you, and do not forget to hit that subscribe button so you do not miss out on any of our upcoming videos. Before I tell you how it ended, you need to understand how it began. And more importantly, you need to understand that nothing, not one single thing in this story is what it appears to be. I am going to tell you everything. The truth I kept for 4 months. The plan I built in silence. The thing Marcus saw. And the one person in this story that nobody, not even me, saw coming until it was far too late. Stay with me, because I promise you, by the time this is over, you will question everything you think you know about love, about loyalty, and about what a person is capable of when they have absolutely nothing left to lose. People used to stop us at restaurants. They would say, "You two are the most beautiful couple, 22 years, no visible cracks." And we would smile and say thank you, and I would feel something I could never name. Not quite pride, not quite grief, something in between, like looking at a photograph of a place you have never actually been. The thing about a beautiful lie is that you participate in it, you polish it, you protect it, because the alternative, the truth, is something you are not ready to survive yet. Marcus Cole had been Daniel's best friend since they were 19 years old. He knew everything about Daniel, or so he believed. The truth is that the people we know best are often the ones hiding the most, because they understand exactly which parts of themselves to keep in the dark. Daniel was the kind of man who believed he was the smartest person in every room he entered. And for a long time, he was right. He was brilliant at reading people, at understanding their needs, their fears, their pressure points. It made him extraordinary at his career and devastating as a husband. I found the first message 14 months before the funeral. I want you to understand that clearly. 14 months. I knew for 14 months. And I said absolutely nothing. People always ask, "Why didn't you just leave?" And I understand why they ask. It sounds so simple from the outside. Leave. But what they don't understand is that leaving was never the point. I didn't want to leave. I wanted him to understand, truly understand, what he had thrown away, what he had broken, and I wanted every single piece of it to have been his own choice. So I waited, I watched, and I began to build. On a Tuesday night, 14 months before they buried my husband, Marcus Cole walked into the lobby of the Clarendon Hotel and saw something he was never meant to see. Daniel, with a woman who was not me, their hands intertwined, his head bent toward hers. The body language of two people who had been doing this for a long time. Marcus had 3 choices: tell me, confront Daniel, or say nothing and carry it. He chose silence. And silence, as it always does, with secrets this size, chose its own way to speak. I want you to notice something about this moment. My hands did not shake. I did not cry. I sat down on the floor of his office, and I read every single message, and I felt something settle inside me, like a decision being made in the deepest part of my mind before my conscious self had even caught up. Her name was Victoria. They had been together for 2 years. He told her he was going to leave me. He used the word love. He used it the way he used to use it with me. And I understood then that Daniel did not have a capacity problem. He had a loyalty problem. And that was something I could work with. For 4 months, I lived 2 lives, the wife who didn't know and the woman who knew everything. I went to dinner with Daniel and smiled. I planned our anniversary trip and smiled. I watched him lie to my face every single morning, and I smiled because I had learned something very important from 22 years with Daniel Mercer. The person who controls the information controls the outcome. I moved 3 accounts. I spoke to a lawyer in a city 2 hours away who had never met Daniel. I documented everything, every lie, every transaction, every night he didn't come home. I was building something, and I was going to finish it. I am going to tell you what happened on the night of November the 14th, and I need you to listen very carefully, because the sequence of events matters. Every minute matters, and what the official report said happened, and what actually happened are 2 versions of the same night. Daniel left the house at 9:47 in the evening. He had received a call 20 minutes before, and whatever was said in that call changed his entire body. He told me it was work. He kissed me on the forehead, and he left. The road he was found on was 40 minutes from our home, wet from 3 days of rain. He was traveling at a speed that the investigators described as inconsistent with the conditions. The car left the road at a bend and struck a barrier, and Daniel Mercer died on impact. They ruled it an accident. Wet road, excessive speed, no other vehicles involved. Case closed within 72 hours. And I stood at that funeral 4 days later, and I watched them lower my husband into the earth, and I felt that thing rise up inside me again. That exhale. That terrible, private exhale. And Marcus saw it. Marcus was not a foolish man. He was methodical in the way that guilty people often are, because guilt sharpens your attention. It makes you look for confirmation of the thing you already suspect. He had seen the smile, and he could not let it go. What Marcus did not know, what he could not have known, is that I had been watching him watch me for 11 months before Daniel died. I knew about the hotel lobby. I knew he had seen Daniel with Victoria, and I had already accounted for exactly what Marcus Cole would do when Daniel was gone. Detective Reyes came to my home 3 times in the 2 months following Daniel's death. Each time she told me it was routine. Each time her questions were slightly less routine than the time before. She was looking for the thing she could feel but could not see, and I respected her for that. I genuinely did. She asked me once, was there anything unusual about Daniel's behavior in the weeks before his death? And I looked at her and I said, Detective, Daniel was a man who made his life appear one way while living it entirely another. I am not certain I would have recognized unusual if it had introduced itself. She wrote that down. I noticed she underlined it. I sent Marcus the photograph on a Tuesday morning, 43 days after Daniel's funeral. I had been deciding whether to send it for 6 weeks, not because I was uncertain, but because timing is everything, and I needed Marcus off balance, not destroyed, not yet. Inside the package was a photograph, Marcus in the lobby of the Clarendon Hotel 14 months earlier, watching my husband with the woman he was going to leave me for. On the back, in my handwriting, 4 words, I know you knew. Let me tell you what I actually built in those 4 months of silence. I moved every joint asset into a protected structure that Daniel could not touch without my signature. I documented every financial transaction he had made in the previous 2 years, including the ones connected to Victoria. I had a conversation with a lawyer about a particular clause in our insurance policy, and I waited. I was not building a murder. I want to be very clear about that. I was building a life that could survive whatever came next, because I understood something that Daniel never did. The person who prepares for every outcome loses nothing. The person who believes they are untouchable loses everything. Daniel was being blackmailed, had been for 8 months before he died. The person blackmailing him knew about Victoria, knew about the money he had been moving, knew things that would have destroyed him professionally, legally, and personally. Daniel was driving that night because he had received a call from the person who held all of it. He was going to meet them. He never arrived. I knew about the blackmail for 6 months before he died. I found the payments in the accounts he thought I couldn't access. And here is the part that will keep you awake tonight. I never found out who was doing it. Detective Reyes came back on a Thursday morning in March, and this time she was not alone. And this time she was not asking questions about Daniel. She was asking questions about Marcus. Marcus Cole spent 6 weeks after receiving my photograph doing what guilty people always do when they feel cornered. He started pulling threads. He found Victoria. He confronted her. He told her that he knew about the blackmail, and in doing so, he revealed something critical, that he knew more about Daniel's secret life than anyone had realized. And Victoria, who had loved Daniel completely and lost him and was still losing him every single day. Victoria went to Detective Reyes. What Victoria gave Detective Reyes was not evidence about Daniel's death. It was evidence about the blackmail, evidence that pointed with terrible precision directly at Marcus Cole. I built the architecture of lies to survive a man who was lying to me. What I did not know, what I could not have known, is that the architecture had a floor I had never seen, a basement where a different set of lies had been running parallel to mine for 8 months. Marcus Cole is currently under investigation for extortion and for the death of Daniel Mercer. I did not give Detective Reyes that information. Victoria did. And Victoria did it because she loved a man who lied to both of us, and she needed someone to be accountable for it as much as I did. Here is what I know to be true. Daniel built lies. I built protection. Marcus built a trap. And the only difference between the 3 of us is that I am the only one still standing. Was justice served? I have been asking myself that question every morning since March, and every morning I arrive at the same answer. I am not certain justice was what any of us were actually looking for. I think what we were looking for was the truth. And the truth, as it turns out, was so much larger than any of us had room to hold. Before you go, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest, because the question matters. If you had been Marcus, standing in that hotel lobby, watching Daniel with Victoria, what would you have done? Would you have told me? Would you have confronted him? Or would you have stood in the silence and told yourself it was loyalty? Tell me in the comments. Because I have spent a long time wondering if any of this could have ended differently, and I have never been able to answer that question alone. Subscribe to Mind Scars, because the next story is even darker than this one. And if you want to know what Marcus's original secret was, the one that started all of this, that story is coming soon.